So, all right, we'd like to call the City of Belton Planning Commission meeting to order. This is Monday, September 19. May we have the roll call, please?
Chairman McPherson,
Here.
Mayor Larkey,
Here.
Councilmember Pryan,
Here.
Commissioner McDonough, Commissioner Monahan Bass, Commissioner Vest, Commissioner Christie, and Commissioner Walton.
All right, thank you. We would like to make note that the mayor and councilman both are calling in through Zoom tonight. Appreciate the effort that they made to be a part of the meeting this evening. So they're on the screen. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. First item that we have this evening would be the approval of the minutes from our August 15 Planning Commission. Is there a motion? We do see a motion and a second.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 15, 2022 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. We do have a motion.
Second.
And we have a second. And we have a second motion and a second. So we are covered. Are there any adjustments, additions, corrections that need to be made on the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? That motion has carried. First item that we have this evening is a non-public hearing for the consideration of a final development plan for Scooter's Coffee at the southwest corner of East North Avenue and Chestnut Street for the property address as 211 East North Avenue. Director?
All right, thank you, Chair. So probably the best site plan is the landscape plan on page 109 of the agenda packet. And that is the final development plan for Scooters, which, as the Chair had mentioned, is at 211 East North Avenue. This property is zoned C2 General Commercial and is currently vacant. For several years, it was utilized as a temporary snow cone business during the summer months and has been vacant for a number of years since. Scooter's Coffee would like to locate at this location and has submitted this application. This property is in the North Scott Overlay Corridor zoning district boundaries, so there are some unique items that the property must meet in addition to the C2 General Commercial zoning standards. The total site area is just a little over a third of an acre and is bounded by North Avenue, Chestnut, and B Streets. In the staff report, it does include the site design and the parking design standards. The site does meet all site design standards for setbacks and building height, coverage, and green space requirements. It does need a modification for the parking design under the North Scott overlay standards. The main reason for that is the drive-through standards for the North Scott overlay is more restrictive, does require more queuing spaces than the city as a whole. They require 12 queuing spaces, 6 of which be located before the order box. Based on the size of the site and the layout of the site, there is no feasible way for the site to meet that 12 space minimum. Instead of 12 spaces, the site does have 10 spaces with 4 before the order box, which is the standard elsewhere in the city, so they do meet that. The overall city requirement, but do fall slightly short of the North Scott overlay standard for drive-throughs. For the landscaping, they also are requesting a few modifications to that. Again, due to the small size and unique shape of the property, there's normally a 6-foot landscape buffer required along all street frontages. This is unique in that the entire property is street frontage. So in lieu of the 6-foot landscape buffer, they're proposing a 3-foot buffer along North Avenue and then a 5-foot buffer along Chestnut and B Street. And then same with the street tree requirement. In lieu of street trees, they are proposing a mix of shrubs and grasses to provide year-round interest. They did provide 3 shade trees elsewhere on the property. However, the main reason for not having those trees is again due to the limited buffer area. Those trees would not be able to mature within such a narrow gap between the pavement. They do meet the trash enclosure requirements with a CMU block with metal gates, and that has been provided. There is no way of screening the trash enclosure from public view, again, because they are visible from all 3 street sides. However, they have provided some additional landscaping around the trash enclosure to help enhance that. For the lighting, they will have building mounted and wall mounted lighting, and all lighting at the property line is at 1 foot candle or less as required by the code, except for one very small point near the entrance drive, which staff does believe is appropriate to provide adequate lighting for safe ingress egress to the site, and will not create a nuisance or a hazard. There is only one point of access from this property at Chestnut Street, which will provide full ingress and egress for the site. And then they will be required to install the sidewalks that are currently not existing along Chestnut and B Streets, including any ADA crossing improvements at B and Chestnut, as well as any sidewalks tying into North Avenue. For the building design itself, which those elevations are on page 112 of the packet, the 4-sided architectural design requirements for the North Scott corridor have been met with the building. They have provided and exceed the minimum requirement of 75% of all facades having Class 1 or Class 2 materials with brick and stucco, as well as glass, meeting those three material requirements. The total building is 665 square feet and will just be a drive-through coffee shop, although they have provided a window near the parking area that could be utilized as a future pickup window should they determine that that is warranted for this site based on pedestrian traffic. All other design requirements have been met for the building, with the exception, there is a requirement that 30% of a street-facing facade and storefront must be glass. However, given that this is a drive-through building and that there is no storefront, staff believes that the future pickup window and the additional windows is sufficient and meets the intent of that requirement. The last item of more significance is the signage, which pieces of the signage package have been included in the packet. The signage is in keeping with drive-through facilities, and again, due to the size of the site and the building, signage options are more limited. So there are a few modifications to the sign code that they are requesting with this approval, which does include reducing the setback of the monument sign from 10 feet to 5 feet. The main reason for that is if it was at 10 feet, it would be hiding behind the trash enclosure and not provide the visibility that it needs from North Avenue. Staff believes that that is acceptable based on those parameters and again, the size of the site. There's also a few items that would meet the general sign code requirements citywide, but do not meet the overlay signage, which is a little bit more restrictive on the size of lettering and symbols. So they are proposing a slightly larger symbol, but still would meet the overall sign allowance for the site. Another item that they are requesting is the larger menu board from 16 square feet to 22 square feet. I will mention that we currently have a code amendment in process that's for second reading for council next week. They would increase that to 32 square feet. So if that is adopted, that would not be a modification anyway. The last item for the signage is that there are 3 small panels on the 2 sides of the building where on many scooters they have small advertisements for menu items. They have shown that in their sign plan or on their building elevations, and staff believes that that would be an acceptable addition for the drive-through use. And if they do introduce the pickup window, could serve as a menu board for the walk-up window. Staff believes that they are incidental in nature and generally only legible for the site or on the site. So that's why staff would be supportive of allowing those. And then there are a few modifications that they would need to for the drive-through signs. Those do not meet the design requirements. They need to be a monument and have the commercial messaging removed. So that has been conditioned with this approval. This is the first retail restaurant use that's been proposed on the North Scott corridor since it was adopted in 2017. And so we are very excited about presenting this to the Planning Commission. We hope that it sets a new precedent for commercial design along this corridor and increases the likelihood of additional investment along the corridor. So that concludes staff's presentation. We do recommend approval, and there are 10 conditions attached to that, including several of the items that I had already mentioned in the presentation.
All right, thank you, Director. Are there any questions, comments? The applicant is not here, but I believe the Director can field most of these for us, if we have any questions.
You don't have any problems with any of this?
No, all of the items that we would like addressed have been added as conditions, and the applicant is aware of those conditions.
I know one of the questions that oftentimes comes up, do we foresee any kind of traffic flow issues since we are along North Avenue, getting in and out? Also with the signage, is there anything that would be, I know the setback, we've talked a little narrower setback and all, anything that would inhibit view on North Avenue specifically?
Where the monument sign is located, it is located in an area that is far enough from any of the intersections, whether that be at Cherry or Chestnut, to not create an issue. It's not in any site triangle. We've also had them relocate. They were proposing a directional sign in the right-of-way. We're going to have them move that out of that location, which will also keep that out of any kind of site triangle for the intersection of North and Chestnut. As for traffic, where the drive-through lane is, it is as far enough away from the ingress-egress as possible. So in the event that there would be a significant queuing event, there's more than enough stacking room there to accommodate that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chair,
Mayor?
I would make a motion to consideration for a final development plan for Scooter's Coffee at the southwest corner of East North Avenue and Chestnut Street for the property address at 211 East North Avenue with the 10 conditions applied.
Thank you, Mayor. We have the motion. Is there a second? Do you have a second? All right, thank you.
I second.
All right. Thank you, Councilman. So, I'm sure Fire Department has looked over the plans. No concerns on your part there.
No, we don't have any issues with it, so we've approved up to this point, so.
Very good. All right, thank you. So we do have the motion and a second. Any additional questions, comments? Seeing none?
No, just that it'll make a great addition to the North Scott corridor.
All right. If there's no other questions, may we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Vest,
Aye.
Commissioner McDonough,
Aye.
Councilman Bryan,
Aye.
Mayor Larkey,
Aye.
and Chairman.
Aye. Motion has carried. Appreciate that. Brings us to other business for this evening, and Director has discussion about possible change to the Planning Commission meeting schedule for the year 2023.
Yep. So it's my understanding that earlier in the spring, maybe late winter, before I began, there was some discussion with the Planning Commission about changing the meeting dates to Tuesdays. We would like to revisit that again. A couple of reasons for doing that. Many of our holidays fall on Mondays, which automatically skip to the next meeting, and so there are times when we may be going 4 to sometimes 6, 7 weeks without a planning commission meeting, which can really maybe nice for the commission, but really slows down the development process. So we would like to see if there is support to change those to the first and third Tuesdays instead of the first and third Mondays. The other reason is that the park board also meets on Mondays, and that may create challenges for the mayor, council members, some of the commissioners and staff if there are park projects that they need to be a part of. So changing it to Tuesday, first and third Tuesdays works well. It's the opposite schedule for council meetings, which meet on second and fourth Tuesdays. So it just creates that consistency between planning commission and council. So just want to make sure that there is still support in doing that. If there is, that would take effect in January. And we already will be starting to put together our development review schedule here in the next few weeks for 2023, as we're already quickly approaching our cutoff dates for our 2023 meetings. So,
Do we need to make a formal motion on this?
don't think that we need a formal motion, just want to make sure that there aren't any concerns of doing this. One thing that we will bring forward is a formal code amendment, because for whatever reason, this actual date is codified in our code. So that is something that we will want to change, just to formally adopt that date.
Okay. So is there any discussion about making that change? It takes away from Monday Night Football too. I mean, that's a big thing. And there's no games on Tuesdays, you know, so that. Yeah, well, there we go.
Good point. I'm for it.
So, all right, I think sounds like we're in agreement
Okay.
on that.
Well, we will bring forward a code amendment on that and start putting together the 2023 schedule and have that available for the commission here within the next month or so.
All right. Any other items, Director?
Yes, so our next meeting will be Monday, October 3rd. We will have a public hearing that evening for a rezoning and a preliminary development plan for a duplex project in the Traditions. The project includes a development of 6 duplexes at the southeast corner of Mullen Road and Sycamore Drive. We do know that the public hearing signs were posted on Friday and letters were mailed out to the applicant, or from the applicant to property owners within 185 feet last week. So that will be coming before the commission on Monday, October 3rd.
All right, very good. Any other items we need to be made aware of this evening?
I would say we do have our city manager, Joe Warren. I don't know if everybody has had the chance to meet him, but he is here at the Planning Commission this evening.
Appreciate you being here. He wears many hats, right? City manager wears a lot of hats. So
I do not play an attorney, though.
appreciate you being here. Glad to have you as a part of our city, and look forward to working with you as we move forward.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Motion to adjourn. Is there a second? We have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you all. We will see you October 3rd.